One type of salt is found in almost every kitchen on Earth. Another is harvested by hand from the surface of the sea. One variety naturally tastes like eggs, and one is so rare that its crystals are actually blue, not dyed, not treated. Actually blue. Most people think salt is just salt. But the salt sitting on your table, the salt used by professional chefs, and the salt sold for premium prices around the world are often completely different products with very different stories. Some come from ancient oceans that disappeared hundreds of millions of years ago. Others are collected from coastal marshes using techniques that have barely changed since the Middle Ages. And despite what marketing often suggests, some of the biggest beliefs people have about salt aren't actually true. Here's everything you don't know about salt explained. Table salt. Let's start with the salt most people use every single day. Table salt is highly refined sodium chloride. What makes it unique isn't what it contains, it's what has been removed. During processing, manufacturers strip away most naturally occurring minerals and impurities, leaving a product that is usually more than 97% pure sodium chloride. Anti-caking agents are then added to prevent clumping. Many versions are also fortified with iodine. That small addition helped solve one of the biggest nutritional problems of the 20th century. Before iodized salt became common, iodine deficiency affected millions of people worldwide. In some regions, enlarged thyroid glands were so common that entire areas became known as goiter belts. Taste-wise, table salt delivers sharp, immediate salinity. No complexity, no lingering mineral notes. Just salt. And that's exactly why it's useful. But what most people don't realize is that many professional chefs rarely use it while cooking. Not because it's unhealthy, because another variety is easier to control. Kosher salt. At first glance, kosher salt looks almost identical to regular salt. But the difference becomes obvious the moment you touch it. The crystals are larger, flakier, less dense. A teaspoon of kosher salt often contains less actual sodium than a teaspoon of table salt because of the air between the crystals. That's one reason chefs love it. It allows for more precise seasoning. The name comes from its historical use in kosher meat preparation, where coarse crystals were used to draw blood from the surface of meat. Here's the irony most people don't know. Kosher salt itself isn't automatically kosher. The name refers to the process, not any religious certification. In professional kitchens across America, kosher salt is the default cooking salt, and the crystals dissolve more gradually, giving cooks reader control over exactly how much salt ends up in the food. Sea salt. Sea salt begins with one simple ingredient: seawater. As water evaporates, salt remains behind. Simple concept. Ancient process. Massive global industry. Unlike heavily refined table salt, many sea salts retain trace amounts of minerals from their environment: magnesium, calcium, potassium. The amounts are small, but they contribute subtle differences in texture and flavor. This is one reason sea salt often tastes softer and slightly more complex. What most people don't realize is that sea salt is not automatically healthier than table salt. Nutritionally, both are still primarily sodium chloride. The biggest differences are texture, mineral content, and production method. And speaking of minerals, one particular salt built an entire global reputation around them. Himalayan pink salt. If social media had a favorite salt, this would be it. Himalayan pink salt is mined from ancient salt deposits in Pakistan. And here's something the label almost never tells you. It doesn't come from the Himalayan mountains. The actual source is the Kira salt mine in Punjab province, located about 160 kilometers south of Islamabad, in a region that shimmers with heat. Hundreds of miles from the iconic snowy peaks the name evokes. The Himalayan label exists because it markets better, not because it's geographically accurate. Pakistan has never been granted geographical indication protection, the kind that allows champagne to only be called champagne if it comes from that specific region of France. So foreign companies buy Pakistani salt, at roughly $40 per ton. Repackage it, brand it as Himalayan, and sell it for thousands of dollars per ton. Pakistan earns a fraction of the profit from its own salt. The deposits themselves formed approximately 600 million years ago from an ancient inland sea. The pink color comes from trace iron compounds. Marketing often presents it as a nutritional powerhouse, but the minerals present exist in quantities so small that you would need to consume dangerous amounts of salt before receiving meaningful nutritional benefit from them. Its real strengths are flavor, slightly earthier and smoother than table salt, and one of the most remarkable origin stories in the food world. You're seasoning food with remnants of a prehistoric ocean, just not from the mountain range on the label. Celtic sea salt. Harvested along the Atlantic coast of France, Celtic sea salt looks completely different from most salts people know. Instead of bright white crystals, it often appears slightly gray. That color comes from the clay-lined salt ponds where it is harvested. Unlike highly refined salts, Celtic sea salt remains moist. The crystals retain water naturally. Pick up a handful, and it feels almost alive compared to dry table salt. Its flavor is mild, briny, and mineral-rich. The harvesting process remains surprisingly traditional. Workers still use wooden tools to collect the salt from evaporation ponds, following methods that date back centuries. Its greatest appeal may actually be craftsmanship more than chemistry. Fleur de sel. Fleur de sel literally means flower of salt, and unlike most salts, it doesn't form at the bottom of evaporation ponds. It forms on the surface. Under the right combination of sunlight, wind, and temperature, delicate crystals begin floating on top of the water. Harvesters carefully skim them by hand before they sink. The result is one of the most prized finishing salts in the world. The crystals are thin, fragile, almost snowflake-like. Rather than dissolving invisibly into food, fleur de sel remains noticeable on the tongue. You don't cook with it. You finish dishes with it, sprinkled over steak, chocolate, caramel, even fresh fruit. The flavor arrives in tiny bursts, a completely different experience from ordinary salt. But while fleur de sel is famous for elegance, the next salt is famous for confusion. Because it tastes like something it absolutely shouldn't. Black salt, kala namak, known as kala namak in South Asia, black salt may be one of the strangest seasonings on earth. Despite the name, it's usually pinkish-gray when ground. Its defining feature isn't the color, it's the smell. Open a container, and many people immediately think of hard-boiled eggs. That's because black salt contains sulfur compounds, specifically hydrogen sulfide, that create a distinctive egg-like aroma and flavor. The first time most people try it, the experience is genuinely surprising. How can salt taste like eggs? For centuries, black salt has been used throughout Indian cuisine in chaats, chutneys, and spice blends. Today, it has found a second life in vegan cooking. Many plant-based chefs use it to recreate egg flavors without using actual eggs. A tiny pinch can completely transform tofu, potatoes, or vegan breakfast dishes. But even black salt isn't the rarest salt on this list. That title belongs to a variety that seems almost impossible. Persian blue salt. Imagine opening a container of salt and finding naturally blue crystals inside. Not dyed, not treated, actually blue. Persian blue salt comes from ancient salt mines in the Semnan province of Iran, a single location from which only a few tons are extracted each year. Its color comes from a potassium mineral called sylvanite. Under the extreme geological pressure that formed these deposits over 100 million years ago, the crystal lattice of the salt was altered in a very specific way. That altered structure refracts light differently, bending it the same way light bends through a gemstone, and produces the shimmering blue tones you see. The color lives inside the crystal, not on its surface. Fracture one, and the interior shows the same blue glow. The flavor is equally unusual. Many people describe an intense initial salinity that softens rapidly into a surprisingly mild, almost sweet finish. Nothing like the sharp persistence of table salt. Because of its rarity and appearance, Persian blue salt is often reserved for luxury dining and high-end presentation. And every crystal is a reminder that one of the most ordinary ingredients on Earth can sometimes look like it belongs in a jewelry case.